Guys, how many of you were up here singing We Are Family? Pretty cool, huh? That was great. And you know they're going to come back, and then of course we've got Lisa Loeb here too. So it's an all-day family affair, as all family affairs should be, like all day long, you know, all day long for the family, kids, adults, everybody. Couples, new couples, everything. Okay, how many people think they have a bad memory? How many people feel like, oh, I don't remember anything? Okay, well, believe it or not, everyone remembers probably 8 to 11 events that happened within the last year. People usually remember 8 to 11 events that happened within any given year. Now, just think, that's 365 days, 366 during a leap year, and you don't remember but 8 to 11. All right, well, I don't know, do you guys know that I have an unusual memory? Okay, and I'll just tell you a little bit about it. I have what's known as highly superior autobiographical memory, which means that I do remember 365 or 366 days every year through my entire life. So my job is to teach you some of the things that I do naturally to maybe prompt your memories to be, so that they are improved. Okay, now most memory books talk about mnemonic devices, and they talk about things like memory palaces or learning how to count cards, things like that. But for me, I'm trying to help you use your own life to help remember things. All right, so how do I do that? Well, first of all, I have a bunch of theories about memory. And one of the first ones is that everyone remembers something especially well. Every single person here remember something especially well, and it's what I call your primary memory track. Everyone has something. It's like in the jigsaw puzzle of your life, what are the hard-edged pieces? What are the pieces that you can start interlocking all the other memories to? Now, for some people, it's things like places they've lived, jobs that they've done, relationships that they've had. Sometimes it's sports. Many guys I know will forget their anniversary, but they will remember a game from 30 years ago, who was playing, what they were wearing, what they were drinking, okay? And there are some people, of course, who remember travel. Travel's also a huge, huge memory track. So in their primary memory track, who knows what their primary memory track might be? Who? Come on, brave soul, let's hear some, who? What do you think yours is? Shout it out, what? Places that you've lived? Relationships. All right, so who else? Who else has one that they do? I like to have an interactive thing with my audience. What? What? Who else? Food. Food is a huge one for people. My friend Phil Rosenthal, who writes Everybody Loves Raymond, you would think he'd remember Raymond episodes. No, they're out of his head. He remembers every meal he's ever had. What's yours? Faces. Okay, every face. So she's got that. What about you? Your paychecks? Oh, your paychecks, okay. He remembers his paychecks. All right, that's what I call your primary memory track, okay? Now, you also have a dominant sense. Everyone is either a sight, sound, touch, taste, or smell person. Everyone has some dominant sense that helps them stimulate memories. For example, you could be getting a massage, and all of a sudden a memory comes back. You can smell something, a memory comes back. You can hear something. It's better for you to look at a map for directions than to hear directions. Everyone has a dominant sense and a primary track. How many people think you're visual people? Raise your hand. Okay, and you know what's funny? All right, how about auditory? Hearing. Okay, you know what's funny? A lot of times you have a very visual man married to a very auditory woman, and he says, she never forgets any argument we've ever had. And she says, he just remembers me standing there shaking my finger at him. So and once you know this, fights, you stop fighting with your spouse because you realize they're one way, you're the other way. All right, so if you take your dominant sense and your primary track, and you can sort of figure out, kind of cross-connect the two, you're going to be able to figure out how you receive, retain, and then retrieve memories, all right? Okay, so here's the reason why I think developing a strong autobiographical memory is so important. All right, this is my reason. I feel like if all you ever do is you wake up, you live your life, you turn off the light, you go to sleep. You wake up, you live your life, you turn off the light, you go to sleep, and nothing has moved forward. Well, then what does it all mean? So to me, developing a stronger autobiographical memory, it's really your strongest line of defense against meaninglessness that you have. Because when you can figure out things that have happened to you in your past, you can bring the information from your past to your present and let it help you inform a better future. That's why it's so important. And the thing is, people always say to me, oh my gosh, you remember every day of your life? I can give you a date and you could tell me what you were doing on that day, what the weather was like, what you were wearing. I say, yeah, yes, I can. And they say, well, what about the bad memories? And I say, well, the bad memories are going to be there for all of you every day anyway, because memory is tied to adrenaline. That's why you remember the highs. You remember the birth of a baby, the first kiss. You remember the wedding day. You remember any wonderful thing that ever happened to you, some accomplishment. So cute, a couple just kissed. I love that. And you'll also remember the lows, being humiliated, a bad breakup, the death of a parent, things like that. So memory is tied to adrenaline, and the highs and the lows are being recorded anyway. If you don't process them in some way, then of course those lows become these emotional boogeymen that then have a stranglehold on your life. You know, these bad hurts with people, with family, with things that families, have done that have wronged you. You're going to remember those things. But if you can bring back some of those sweeter, middle-of-the-road, kind of our town memories in between, then it makes a huge difference. So then if you start to really try to remember more and more, because it's like a muscle, like anything else. All right, here are some of my memory tips for people who want to improve their autobiographical memory. All right, at night, scroll through while you're brushing your teeth for 2 minutes, because you're supposed to do it for 2 minutes. Maybe you're just doing it for a minute. While you're doing it, scroll through your day. Try to think, what was worth remembering? What do I want to carry into those 8 or 11? What is worth remembering today? Because just that second time through is going to sear it onto your brain in a stronger way than just going through it and not paying attention to it. The thing is, we've gotten so busy and we're so distracted. We always have our faces in our iPhones. We always have, everything on speed dial. We don't tax our brains anymore, and we've gotten very lazy. And as a result of it, we're never challenging our brains. So every night, while you're brushing your teeth, scroll through your day and think what was worth remembering. Now, if you are a visual person, throughout your day at some point, take a photograph. You have no excuse for it now. Take a photograph of what would represent that day. Like today would be taking a picture of this. And then at the end of the month, you scroll through those 30, 31 pictures, 28 in February, pictures that you've taken and see how many memories you can bring back. Or at the end of the month, test yourself. Because it's not right that people only remember 8 to 11 events within a past year. And if you do these little exercises every day or at least once a month, you're not going to believe how many more things you are going to remember by the end of the year. All right, so here's the other thing. If you're an auditory person, do a sound check once in a while. Think about, okay, well, what's a sound I associate with a day? Excuse me, speaking of sound, you got someone up here talking. Okay, and then if you are a touch person, what you should do is keep a little log and write 3 little sentences, 3 little bullet points, 3 bullet points, maybe 3 words, something to prompt your brain, because it's definitely a muscle that you need to exercise, no question about it. Now, we will remember some of the hurts that we feel with family members, but if you can remember some of the good stuff as well, then you feel much more forgiving. People always say, with your kind of memory, and you remember everything, do you hold grudges? And I always say, no, because, there's such a range of things you understand kind of. Well, I used to say all the shades of gray, and then I had to stop saying that. So now I just say, I say, oh, yeah, all the colors of the rainbow. You remember, all the different colors that happen to anyone in any kind of relationship. Because it's really a great thing to try to remember as much as you can. And people love it when you remember something about them. People love it when you remember some good thing, and especially if you can let the good things kind of override the bad things. All right, somebody give me a date. Somebody give me any date. Let me find somebody. Here, give me a birthday or something. November 20th. Okay, November 20th of what year? Oh, you don't have to give me the year you were born. I mean, go give me somebody who wants to give me their birthday or some kind of date. What? April 3rd, 1980 was a Thursday. It was a Thursday, right? You were born on a Thursday. Is that your birthday? Aries, fellow Aries. Okay, April 3rd, 1980 was a Thursday. It was, and I know exactly what I was doing. I was working on a movie at the time. All right, so April 3rd, 2001. Okay, this was one of the first questions, because I was tested by 60 Minutes. What they did was, not by 60 Minutes, they don't have a memory center, but they sent me to, wait, excuse me, I have to tell these guys, excuse me, guys, do you know that I can hear you guys, excuse me, I can hear you up there. You're very loud, okay, and I'm trying to give a speech, okay, thank you very much. Okay, now he won't forget that, and neither will I. All right. Here's the thing. All right, thank you. All right, so I went to UC Irvine because Leslie Stahl is a friend of mine, and she had been offered a story of a woman who had a very unusual memory. They did testing on this woman. They had never seen anything like it. They presented the story to Leslie. They said, do you want to do it on 60 Minutes? She said no, because my friend Mary Lou Henner has the exact same memory. So then 3 years later, she called me. She said, it turns out it is unusual, so what we're going to do is we're going to have you tested on camera. So I ended up being tested on camera. They recorded it all. I answered over 500 questions. They did all the different memory testing. Then they wired my brain, put me through an MRI, saw how my brain fired up, and they took 300 measurements and found these 9 areas that are 10 times larger. But it doesn't mean that you don't have some of this as well. It's just a question of exercising it. Because I was one of 6 kids, and I was so excited to be somebody who had a good memory when I was a child that became my claim to fame. And every night I'd fall asleep saying, what did I do a year ago in kindergarten? What did I do when I was my little brother's age? And it became this little exercise in time travel that I wanted to do. You can do that too. I know that I was born with something unusual, but there's no doubt in my mind that it was nature and nurture. Okay, it was a combination. All right, so one of the questions they asked me was, what was your 21st birthday? So April 3rd, 1980. Okay, April 3rd, 1980. So April 3rd, 2001. Do you remember what day of the week you had your 21st birthday? Do you remember what you did for your 21st birthday? What did you do? Do you remember it was a weekend or a weekday? It was. It was a Tuesday. It was a Tuesday. All right, I bet you, I mean, I don't have time now, but I've been with 300 people, and I have brought back everyone, except for 2 people who didn't want to play, every single person's first year in high school schedule, freshman in high school schedule. I gave a seminar to 300 people, and every person. All right, so tonight, or the rest of the day, just be thinking, my gosh, could I bring that first year in high school schedule back? You can. And what's the importance of it? Because you want to see, who was I before? Why do you think things like Facebook, with their timelines and with people getting on together and saying, hey, let's, what was our neighborhood like? What was our class like? What was that club like? People want that connectivity. And the way you really can connect is to have an incredible autobiographical memory that you work on. So anyway, thank you all so much for, and I hope that you don't forget whether don't forget your primary track or your dominant sense. Try to learn how to receive, retain, and then retrieve your memories. Thank you. Bye-bye.